Welcome to the WorkingAudioTools podcast, the home of all things mixing and mastering, where we interview audio professionals. Many of these professionals are well established in the industry and have had some interesting journeys into being professional mixing and mastering engineers. And that is no different with today's guest, who is also a well-established and successful YouTuber. Can we introduce Thomas van Opstal?
Wow. Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. And
great work on not butchering my last name.
I know. I was quite pleased the way you just nailed that, Ed, because we have fucked up in the past, haven't we?
That's great.
Now, Thomas has been somebody that I've wanted to get on the podcast for a while, because Thomas is quite similar to us, but he's got a way more experience than us industry-wise. But I've noticed there's kind of a common theme a little bit. I almost see all of us as like modern engineers, and we see things a little bit differently to the way things have been done, say 10, 20, 30 years ago. Like, for example, right now, like Thomas, if you've watched his channel, you would have seen that he tried to move, he had a big, massive studio with Red Bull. Then again, he tried to move all the gear, into his flat. And then that didn't really work. And then he's in the room that he's in
sounds
right
ominous,
now.
Paul.
I know. He's in the room that he's in just now, which again, if you've watched it, is a fascinating journey from building it and, figuring out all the stuff that Ed is going through right now, trying to get his room to measure fantastically well, which, how is that going, Ed? Just very briefly, are you done? Are you just say you're done?
I've got my null down to 5 decibels.
That's not bad.
Oh.
That's not bad.
That's with acoustic treatment, and Trinov can smash that. So yeah, it's going. I just need to get used to the room, and I think I prefer one set of speakers, but the other set of speakers measures better, and I don't want to have both because they're going to be in compromised positions. So that will be in a video coming soon.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds very similar to.
Yes.
I've also got that, 2 sets of speakers.
So for anybody that doesn't know, Thomas, give everybody a brief introduction on kind of like your engineering journey so far. Again, you can start kind of with how you got in with Red Bull, and then kind of your job role in there, and then, how you've kind of pivoted to where you are now.
I think I started as a producer, then started mixing my own records, recording myself and my mates and everyone. And then I set up a studio with all my savings, and then I figured out, YouTube doesn't tell me everything.
Yep.
I think I know everything, but maybe I should actually go to a school. So I went to SAE, and then it was super nice because I already thought I knew everything. So now I could get into practice in actual studios. And then I spent a year at SAE. I was like, now it's gonna work. And then it didn't work again. But through SAE, I did get a couple of cool opportunities, working at big festivals here in the Netherlands, working with on a film set, which wasn't work I really liked, but it paid the bills. And one of those opportunities was that I could become one of the engineers at the old Red Bull studios. Now, Red Bull had 11 studios over the world, and they used that as marketing, a marketing tool to get connected with artists. And they had alumni from SAE running the studio. And then at some point, the studio, they decided to rebuild, and they needed one head audio. And long story short, they hired me. I ran Red Bull Studio Amsterdam for 4 years. The technical side was head audio there. Then COVID times, everything got sold to the owner of the building. I stayed on as head audio, but now became studio manager, and also had to deal with planning, scheduling, invoices. Wasn't great. But it did give me, with everyone, it gave me the reset that COVID did. COVID is a yearly thing that resets. It did for a lot of people. It was for me as well. Okay, I'm spending 60, 70 hours in the studio every week. I want to make content because everybody comes in here and I set up perfect vocal chains for them to sound amazing. And the first thing they do is dial up the line gain or turn on phantom power on the Apollo while I'm running an external preamp. They're putting on 10 plugins while I'm running a U47 and a CO1B.
Yeah.
Like, it hurt me. And I was like, I should really make videos. And then COVID hit. I got fired by Red Bull and I was like, now is the time. So I started making videos, and that took a while, but eventually it popped off, and that started to gain traction on TikTok first, then Instagram, and later I got a bit bored with just doing the fun and short bits and pieces, and I decided to go into YouTube and do all of that while still mixing records, doing recording sessions, doing masters, everything. Do we want to get into the entire story, or do
Let's
we
do
want
it.
to
Let's do it.
gradually?
Let's get full into it. Come on, let's
I
go
feel
full
like-
TISM. Let's go full TISM mode.
Yeah. And then at some point, like the Red Bull studio, which was like the $1 million dream studio, you've got everything: flush mounted monitors, PMC near fields on an SSL 4000, big live room with the Neumanns and the Coles and all the mics you want, all the outboard gear you can dream of. Everybody that would come in would be like, holy shit, this is your studio? But it wasn't my studio.
I know what you mean.
Under Red Bull, it felt like my studio. But then the new owner came in and they were like, it's my studio now. You work for me. You run the studio for me.
That'd be hard. So hard.
And for the 3-4 years, I could suck it up and go like, yeah, it does something really good for me because I can do my job really well and I can use this to my advantage. And then all of a sudden my business started going that way, going up, doing really well. And the studio just didn't want to do anything because 2023, that was 24, anything after COVID and even before, way before COVID, the times have changed, and a big commercial studio with a large format console, all the mics, and a big live room that's basically empty the entire time is just not the business model for now anymore. If you don't already have the business, it should be a tool for the business.
Yep.
It shouldn't be the business of renting out a studio.
Yeah.
Then you should get a room like this that doesn't cost as much as that room, put a good pair of speakers in, really good mic, preamp, and a compressor, and say, plug in, everything's plug and play, do your thing.
Yeah, so what is your setup right now? What is like, so take from what you had, obviously you can't get exactly what you had over at Red Bull, but what have you been able to transfer over for you that's kind of like your main setup now?
Well, I still have an SSL 4000.
Yeah, I seen that, I noticed that.
But only 8 channels.
Yeah.
I still have the 1073s. That was the one of the things I invested in. I'm really happy because that's like, I got the classic, the real ones, not the vintage ones because you can't afford those.
Yeah.
Like, but proper ones. And I very early on invested in some ATC SEM25s. And I'm really happy with those. I know them really well. I never had them up in the Red Bull studio. I always had them at my home studio. Yeah. And what else do I have? I'm trying a pair of Dutch and Dutch 8Cs.
We are
How are
very
those?
intrigued, very intrigued.
Yeah, everybody is.
A good friend of ours is raving about them. He can't speak
Yeah?
highly enough
Yeah.
about how the cardioid system has just removed nulls and works and just does amazing things at all volumes.
Yeah.
I've contacted them because I'd like to get them on the channel. I've given them a spiel about having a null and, can it fix it? And I'm known for reviewing speakers, and my audience is a lot of people working in home studios who I didn't say might not want to spend that much money, but it might be an opportunity for them to get the brand out in front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How are you getting on with them?
Yeah, it's so that is exactly how they got to me. Like they were like, "Hey, you're building a studio. It looks really sick, and we want to have you try the speakers and just see what you feel." So I'm not going to say too much because there's a lot of people interested, and I need to keep a little bit for my
Just
own
for
videos.
you, just for you.
But they're super detailed. They measure really flat, and they're almost like a full range. They're compared to the 25s. They're like very extended
Mm.
and just a really big picture, so you can really zoom in on them. And with the detail they have, it's like the ATC is almost like the mid range focus,
Mhm.
Yeah.
as in actual frequency spectrum mid range focus, and then the Dutch in Dutch is like what you would use a main monitor setup
Yeah.
for in a big studio. It's to zoom in and to blast everything and then confirm if everything is okay. And it does that so well because it's so precise. Like I used to have DIN Audio M4 minis in the Red Bull studio. They were amazing, really powerful, but they weren't super precise. They were punchy and really nice, but they weren't super precise.
It sounds to me like you're going to be keeping the 8Cs.
I don't know because I'm on the fence.
Okay, say no more. Save that for your video, and we will
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
that with bated breath. But have they helped with nulls?
Yeah,
Okay, like significantly or like a few dV?
yeah.
Oh, Ed, that's
They
bad news for
measure-
you. That's bad
they
news.
measure-
It's not bad news because if they do the job, I've got 4 sets of speakers I can sell to fund them.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure they can figure out a way for you to try them.
Cool. I've emailed them. We'll see.
Nice.
Now, another pair of speakers that you had, Thomas, now I find it interesting was because I had them in my room and for certain reasons I had to send them back. You did have PMC in the room at Red Bull.
Yep.
Now you had how long did you have the 226s for again?
For 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And it was a long, really, really, if you look at the earlier photos, I just yesterday saw a photo from the Chainsmokers who were in that room, and they were working on the SEM20s, the ATC SEM20s that I had on loan. I had SM9s by Focal, I had KH310s, I tried Adam A7Xs, I tried every single speaker. And at some point, I got to the 226 and I was like, okay, this is closest to what I can get to also for the budget that we had, which I doubled because I couldn't get a pair of decent sounding monitors for 2K at the time. Right now, if you tell me get a decent sounding pair of monitors for 2K, I could tell you a couple. But back then, I was really like, no, I need to get into the PMC ATC range. Yeah, so I had the PMCs there, and I also tried the new PMCs.
Yeah, because what I found interesting was when I had the 226s in my room, I almost felt like every record just sounded awesome on them. I was like, wow, this is how records should sound. But I almost felt like they weren't telling me enough of the truth. It's like almost like they excited me a lot, and yeah, I wanted to work on them and they were fun, but I don't know, I didn't feel like they were as accurate as, say, like some more neutral speakers, that I've tried. Would that be something that you kind of agreed with? And how big a step up was the PM6s to the 226s?
The PM6s solved everything I hated about the.
Yeah, I think I remember
226s.
watching that.
I think I said that in my video as well.
Yeah, you did.
There was like a weird low mid build up. I couldn't really tell the exact harshness in the high mids on the 226s.
It was almost like, to me, it was like certain records on mines sounded super, super, super harsh. Like I'd be listening to Serbian mixes of Selena Gomez, and I'd be like, wow, why is that overly sibilant? And it was almost like on some songs, it was almost like it's like a parallel EQ, like a really notched parallel EQ in the upper mids. And on some songs, it'd be like, wow, why is that specific frequency just harsh to me? And it was like, as you said, it was like some mixes it would be fine, some mixes it wouldn't be, some mixes would have sibilance, and some mixes would be fine. It was just, I didn't know it was a crossover thing or something like that. But
Probably crossover point, yeah.
Yeah, apart from that, I did really like them, but then there was an issue with the DSP. But that as soon as I heard that sibilance on the Selena Gomez mix, I was like, I don't think I can trust these, and it scared me because obviously they were $5,000 when they first came out, and I got them for like 1,600 used, and I was just kind of like, this shouldn't be the case. Like I should get PMCs and be amazed and like blown over, but. I think it's scary, and I think it's obviously the journey that you've had as well with your speakers is that it does take a long time to get speakers that tell you the truth and to get speakers that you feel comfortable working on. It's
Definitely
such a long journey.
That's when I bought my ATCs, and you're gonna say I'm crazy, but I bought my ATCs blind.
Really?
Wow. I hadn't heard them.
Oh.
And I waited for them for 3 months, and they got shipped to my house on a pallet. So there was no way I was going to return them back. I had heard ATCs, but not the 25s. But I heard some trustworthy people talk about them and raving about them, and they're the best selling near field monitor in this range.
Yeah.
You know, I think that the ATC SMC 25s are probably the most bought speakers from people who haven't heard them.
Yeah.
I think because they've just got that reputation. They're in all the big studios.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of makes
sense. It's
sense.
like, and I could get them at a really great price. So I was like, if I can't figure them out, I'll learn to work with them. I put them up in my room, in my shitty home studio, because back then I didn't dare put them in the studio that wasn't my own studio. So I put them in my living room that was barely treated. I listened and I was like, holy shit. The guitar's here. I can grab it. The hi-hat's there. The snare's right there. And even in like now in this room, they sound so much better. And I had them in the Red Bull studio for a little while. And I heard their potential back then. But even in my living room, they just clicked with me. And my mixes were done twice as quick.
Yeah.
And sometimes like DNA of a certain piece of gear, it just clicks with your own DNA.
How do you feel about the concept that there is a perfect speaker for each room? Because I've tried many speakers in this room, and it just so happened that the Amphion 218s worked the best, they measured the best, and they sounded the best, and they helped me the most with mixing. In my new bedroom studio, they're measuring well, but I actually prefer the sound of my head Type 20s. They've really come alive in that room with Trinov, and there's less problems that Trinov's having to fix, so I can hear that. There's less of that kind of compromise I can hear in the speakers, and yeah, the heads are really working well.
Yeah, and definitely, like, if you speak to acousticians, like, it's a thing to actually build your room around the speaker you have. And they'll actually, if you're going to flush mount something, but also if you're not going that route, they'll usually ask you, like, hey, what speakers are you going to put in? And if you tell them, I don't know yet, then they'll go like, okay.
Yeah, but my thinking is going the other way around. I understand that if you're choosing between a sealed enclosure, ported, passive radiator, or cardioid speakers, that is going to influence acoustics. But I've kind of been looking at my studio the other way around and thinking, well, hang on, if I can measure the problems, then how can I treat those and then put the right speaker in that will optimize the room, as it were?
Yeah.
It's another way of looking at it.
So then you build the room first, and then I also did not really consider the speaker when building this room because I wouldn't know how to go about it. I was just, I've got these room modes, these reflections, this is going on. I probably need this. No fucking clue. I just went, and everybody has an opinion somewhere. And it's
Oh,
like,
yes.
okay, cool. But I'm just going with the flow.
My Instagram's been going off, man. I mean, I've been so fortunate. I've had some amazing people reach out, and I've made contact with some great people. Some of them have given me some great advice. Other people have kind of stated the obvious. Other people have stated things I've overlooked, and things I'd forgotten. So it's been amazing, the amount of stuff I've had to try. And I'm pretty sure I haven't tried. I'm pretty sure I've tried everything in that room now, except 2 subwoofers, but that's purely because I don't have to.
Yeah.
I'm working on that.
Have you got subs in yours, Thomas? Have you tried the whole sub approach with yours?
No, not yet, because I just got in the room, and the ATC should have a little bit more low end, and I've had the suggestion from a bunch of people that the biggest dip I'm having in the low mids might be fixed with subs. So it will definitely be something to try.
I've been told that, but my testing last week with 1 subwoofer didn't change a thing.
No?
Didn't even touch the size. The idea is that at 2 different points with 2 different phase alignments, you can optimize, and you literally have to have them at 2 different placements in the room, apparently one in the corner and one like in the listening level with the listening position. And if you get the phase alignment right or out of phase, I can't quite remember which way around it is, you can fill in a null because you're activating the room, and then that at different points with different frequencies, and then that interacts differently to how 1 sub does in its position with the speakers. But as far as I tested with 1 subwoofer, it just didn't do anything in my room.
Yeah, I need to try. I'm trying the Trinov. So I've got that running right now on the ATCs.
How you getting on with that?
Yeah.
It's a bit weird when you first get it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it is right.
I'm just trying to get the hang of everything, and I'm very analog minded, and I like keeping everything analog and fixing a problem instead of putting on a Band-Aid and Trinov does it in the best way possible with room correction, I think. But something in me says I haven't exhausted every single option of figuring out this problem.
Yeah.
Like I can still add rock wool to the ceiling cloud, which probably will help a little bit, because the issue is 3 room modes, and even they seem to be 3 room modes. I should put it like that, because they are exactly in that field where there's the 3 room modes. They just don't show up on the waterfall.
Yeah.
Which got me off guard, because I looked at the waterfall plot and I was like, okay, it's fixed. Fine. Room modes are done. But it looks like it's like, and the 3 room modes there, and the floor/desk bounce.
Yeah.
So I've got all those issues piled up, and that makes for that gap there. So yeah, I first want to see, like, does that help? Do resonators help? Tuned absorbers, switching out the glass wool for rock wool. I don't know.
So what has been the things for you, Thomas, in your room that kind of surprised you the most on like the easy kind of fixes? Because I think we've all done rooms. I've got the Atmos room in mine, this room in here, which again they're all labours of love. But again, I was watching your room quite intensely with my TISM, and I was like, what's he doing there? What's this measurement here? He's trying this and that. And you tried a lot of very creative things. What were the things for you that kind of worked the best? If somebody was to say to you, right, if you were to go back and you could only do maybe 4 main forms of treatment, what do you think are the things in your room that worked the best?
I definitely think the back wall did a lot. And even though I kept it quite open, it does a lot. I almost didn't put the corner traps in on the ceiling. And then I had like the Hans Komans, the guy that built the Red Bull studio. I had him over right before I started building, and he was like, I don't see corner traps on your thing. You better put them in, man, because otherwise. And we did the first measurement, and you hear it very clearly on my mic in the video as well. Like as soon as the corner traps are in, it's like, oh, a lot of that reverb tail is gone now, and it's like it soaks up a lot. And these are tiny because you should make them like 3 feet by 3 feet, like big. Doesn't work here, but you should, to make them really effective, you should make them like that. But as soon as I got that up and the rear wall, and I think the speaker boundary interference thing, just pushing everything to the front, to that front wall. And that is something that both Hans, guy who built Red Bull Studio, and Marcus Bertram, who I did the video on before I started building with, hey, am I on the right track? They both really pressed that. Like, you need to put your speakers right up against the wall.
That's what
Hans also said that. They both also said that when I asked them for tips on my living room studio. And even that was a glass, fully glass back wall. They also both said, hey, put that all the way to the front. So, yeah, that I'm really, really glad that I did that.
Yeah, and how long did it take you till you feel like, honestly, me and Ed almost feel like it's never ending. Like me in this control room, the amount of times I've went back to it, and I did what you did. Again, I was like, I had the corners relatively treated, then I got 2 big GIK soffits, and as soon as I got them in my bass decay, all of a sudden, just so my entire room is now, like, decay-wise, is all under 200 milliseconds, like very, very even. But the amount of time it took, but for you, for anybody watching this, Thomas, like because we're all 3 of us in the same boat, when did you feel, or do you feel like you can just say, I'm done and I'm on my way to work in it?
I have to. My bank account is completely empty.
We've all been there.
Yeah, I don't care how the room sounds at this point. I need to get shit done, and I don't care if I need to run to my car 500 times, or I need to put my ATCs back up, or I need to grab headphones or listen to my iPhone speaker. I need to get the job done. And I've tried mixing in the best studio ever with everything that you could dream of. I couldn't get nice mixes done, partially because of how it was set up and partially because I wasn't that good yet. But I've done a lot of great mixes in my living room that was barely treated.
Yeah.
So I really don't care about the flat line because I know how to deal with issues and everything, and the way I have it now is better than any room I've properly worked in. I've properly mixed in. So I'm already 3 steps ahead of any situation I've been in.
Yep.
So yeah, if I can't do it with this, can I really mix?
100%.
Like, it's 100%. Like anything that is going to be improved right now is just an added bonus.
Yeah.
that makes me go like, ha, I won at the game of getting the
I know
line
what you mean.
flat.
That's
all it is for
exactly
me right
where
now.
I'm at the moment.
Yeah, that's where Ed is. And you do have to come to a point where, good enough is good enough.
If you don't have an in-house mastering engineer like we're fortunate enough to have with Marcel at Actu Make with the Working Audio Tools, DistroKid have you covered. For just $99 a year, you can buy unlimited mastering for all of your tracks in tandem with unlimited releases via DistroKid. Mixair from DistroKid uses AI technology to measure the EQ and the dynamics of your track and then present you with numerous options to tweak and customize your master. You can flip between the original and the generic mastered option.
Blame it on the whiskey. Blame it on the bad weed.
So instantly we can hear that's making the track louder, and it's also slightly flattening the EQ, bringing in a little bit more of the mid-range and of course the top end. We can adjust the intensity, which is how much compression and limiting is being applied to the track.
Blame it on the only thing you've ever seen. Run and tell your mother. Blame it on your brother.
I think somewhere in the middle works for this track. And the EQ options are self-explanatory. We can make the track effectively duller or brighter.
Just ain't right. All you do is lie. All you do is try to deny. All you do is lie. Even when you know it just ain't right. All you do is lie.
Download your mastered track and release it as easily as you do all of your other unlimited uploads. Get 30% off your DistroKid subscription using the Working Audio Tools VIP link below.
So like we've done the geeky stuff, Thomas, okay? So I wanted to get you on a lot to talk about trying to get work in the new modern age world, okay, of mixing and mastering. So again, you do have, again, the experience with Red Bull, so I take it, again, there's clientele that you've built up and a network that you've built up over that time that you could utilise now. In terms of online work, because people ask us all the time, how do you navigate the online world? I mean, do you get a lot of work coming from the online space, or is it mostly from kind of the clientele that you've built up in Red Bull over the years?
I see a very clear division in what I call lower ticket and higher ticket clients.
Yeah.
Like the STEM masters, the mix feedback, all those things that I offer that are 150 euros tops. That's usually that comes through online stuff. So they see that, they think, hey, let me try that. Cool. The higher ticket things like actual full mixing, rarely I get people through a video that they say, hey, let me try it.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But what usually happens is word of mouth. A lot of people that just go like, hey, you did this, I need to do that. Just recently, track is not out yet, but it's a really big artist. Can't name the name yet, but it was, they heard something I did. A record for Naomi Sharon. Really great. And the artist heard that record. She called up her manager. She said, figure out who mixed that right now. Get them to mix my record. They went to Apple Music. They checked. They saw, oh, Thomas mixed that. Oh, cool. He DM'd me, hey, do you want to mix this record, these records for this artist? And that's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
They hear what you did. They find you on credits, or they see a post or whatever, and they get in touch with you.
I'm really hoping that's Taylor Swift you're talking about.
No. No, it's a bit different genre than Taylor Swift.
Cool. That's exciting though.
So what genres is it, would you say, that you are predominantly working in? Is it quite sparse, broad, or is it kind of kind of niched slightly?
So I work mainly in R&B, neo soul, hip hop, pop stuff, and then stem mastering wise, it's more mixing wise and recording wise. Stem mastering wise, it's a bit broader. Today I did like a rock track, and a pop track. I did Punjabi track before the weekend. Like, if it really varies, and I love that because I can get into all of it. I'm not really into mixing metal.
I'm the same. I know.
I've not because I don't like the genre, but because I feel you need to be a metalhead
I
to
agree.
understand what
I agree.
somebody needs. And I think with everything, like that's why I kind of choose the R&B, neo soul, hip hop side.
You've got to like what you're mixing, and you've got to have listened to a lot of it. I've decided the same with mixing. I literally turned down a client the other week. I said, look, my experience has told me I'm not the best for this. You're going to be better off going elsewhere. And they're like, cool, man. Thanks for being honest. No worries. No point wasting your time and my money. But no, your money and my time.
Yeah.
Or both.
And it's difficult because you're not always in a position to say that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go like, this is not really for me, and I might not nail it, but I really need to pay rent this month.
Yeah, totally.
And that's sometimes where you go like, okay, I'll do it. And then in hindsight, you go like, I really wish I didn't do that because I didn't deliver the best I could.
Which brings me to an interesting question. At what point do you make that decision between necessity and possible failure? Because although you might not be pursuing a genre like metal, if you don't deliver something that the client's happy with, that is potentially another client who in another conversation may say, yeah, we tried him, he wasn't very good. And someone else in another genre says, oh man, he was amazing, this is really weird. And then the third person in the conversation is like, not sure, probably just find someone else. Whereas though, if that conversation had gone, one person said, he's amazing, another person said, haven't used him because he turned me down because he was honest that he wasn't good enough in that genre. The third person then is going to think, that's my kind of guy. If he can't do it, he's going to be honest about it. He's just giving him a rave review. That's a good review in my mind. I'm going to approach him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you have to be confident that you can
Very true.
do that.
Or am I just massively overthinking it?
And that is
you're
really
overthinking
hard
everything.
because if your bank account is empty and you need to pay rent, then it's always hard to say no to a job that would have paid your rent, but you think, this might not end so well.
Yeah.
Like in that position, you've got one problem, and that is you cannot pay rent. And you need to fix that right now. My rent issue is now. If people come back, is next month or the month after. And yes, in the long run, I should be doing that. I've also been in that position where I actually turned down a client that was paying really well, was for a collaboration, a video collaboration, YouTube, or a real collaboration, something, big brand. And I said, yeah, I could really use that because I could pay my rent for a couple of months with that. But it doesn't bring me where I need to go.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
This would make me a content creator.
Correct.
It's not the profile I want to build. At that point, I chose for the long run thing.
And that brings me on to the next question, was the kind of the hard balancing act that me and Ed are in just now, is that I think what was good for you, Thomas, is that you had that, career with Red Bull. So you came into this already as an industry audio professional. Me and Ed have came into it from the back end, where we've been with, people know us from YouTube, and now we're trying to do the opposite, where we're trying to be seen less like YouTubers and content creators and more like, audio engineers, because that's what we want to do full time. So how hard is it for you to balance that perception of still being known mostly as an audio engineer, but still trying to keep, the social media side up and try and keep that, the potentials that might come from that. How do you balance that between being a content creator and being, an audio engineer?
It's not the easiest thing to do. Like sometimes you know how people get, and I actually heard this example through someone that I got suggested to mix a record, and somebody recognized me. It was like, hey, yeah, Thomas, he's all over my For You page. But can he actually mix?
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
That was the moment I thought, okay, even though I love making videos and everything, this is my job.
Correct.
I mix, I record, I do stem mastering. I am a music professional, and that is the main gig, not YouTube or Instagram or whatever. It's super nice that it blew up like that and that there's a lot of traction there. But once that starts to happen, that people go like, "Ooh, I don't trust you because I feel all you do is just make videos."
Yep.
Then I let my foot off the gas and I go like, okay, now it's time to do a couple of gigs that show people, okay, this is what he does.
It's a hard line though, because you've got 27,000 subscribers. That's 27,000 people in the music industry who know you as a YouTuber. A lot of them will know that you mix and master as well.
Yeah.
And this is a concern we have. It is an unfair assessment of someone to be like, oh, don't they just do videos? But there is also the flip side of that, which concerns us, and we've noticed it with certain other people who claim to be very busy in the music industry, yet they're pumping out a YouTube video every 2 days. And we're like, really? How busy are you if you're doing that much content?
Yeah.
So I think it's there's a balance for sure, and I would say maximum a video a week for me, if you because that's a day's work in itself if we're doing it properly, right? And then you've got 4, 5, 6 days to mix the rest of the time. But my point being that in all three of our cases, everyone already knows us as YouTubers. So it's about pivoting maybe the content, and what Paul touched on in last week's episode was how he's trying to use his channel very intelligently moving forward, and Instagram, to document how he's working. So it's content for education's sake and behind the scenes and interest sake, and vlogging sake as well to an extent, which is what I'm doing with my studio build. I'm documenting that. But it's also researched, hopefully educational, hopefully inspirational, and demonstrating that we are working engineers, which I think if you can combine the two, that's a hell of a good place to be, because then there is reach, in all directions, and again, more fingers in more pies to earn more money. Even though, as we know, YouTube makes pathetic amounts of money for ad revenue.
Pathetic.
Affiliate sales are the lowest they've ever been, because nobody's got spare cash at the moment. But every little helps. Every little sponsorship helps. Everything helps.
But I think you nailed it there, Thomas, for me, because I think what you've established right there is feeling the perception from others. So again, I think you're doing the right thing where, again, you're just seeing, how people around you are starting to talk. And if it's a very clever thing to do, if you feel like maybe people are seeing you too much as maybe that side of what you do, it's kind of, well, no, but actually let me be in control of that and put the brakes on, as you said, and be like, no, I'll just maybe focus back more on the gigs that I'm doing. Okay, I might maybe, go quiet for a little bit, but it's that way of maintaining in control that you are always an audio engineer first and a content creator second. I think that's a very, very clever way of doing it.
I've been in the high of gaining a lot of followers overnight. TikTok did it first, shot to 50K, then Instagram shot to 80K.
Yeah.
YouTube hasn't done it yet. It's a slow,
very slow
growing thing.
YouTube's died though in terms of subscribers. Like the COVID was the last boom there was on YouTube.
Yeah.
Even big channels now that had 100,000 subscribers in 2020 are only on like 120, 130. It's just people aren't subscribing because the algorithms are so good. Well, and bad for the same reason.
I've been at that high of like, yes, okay, I need to keep this.
Yeah.
And now I'm taking a step back and it's like, oh, it's not 78.5 7 anymore, but it's 78.6 now. Oh shit. Oh shit. When is it going to be 0.5?
Yeah.
Fuck. And yeah, it's scary because the algorithm on either of those platforms is just gonna say, you don't feed us anymore.
Yep.
Bye.
Yep.
And that's the thing that was also scary for. I made it a mission to do like the weekly upload on YouTube. Like, okay, let me really go for it and let it happen. And during the studio build, I could, because I said like, okay, I'm just doing this, documenting it. And honestly, affiliate sales did get me through the studio build.
Mhm.
So that is super nice. It's super nice that you can build that up, but then regular work starts and you have to go like, okay, I can't do it anymore now because I don't have that extra day anymore, because it's just like now I actually need to get back to making money again.
Yeah, totally.
And YouTube just doesn't.
Because I was speaking to my wife last night, and she was like, Paul, when's the last time you actually posted on your main channel? And I was like, it's about 3 months or something. And I actually went back, and it's 5 months. And my wife was like, Paul, that's called abandoning your channel. And I was like, but at the end of the day, I've got this podcast that I get more benefit out of. I've got mixed phones with Emma Chelik that I get a lot of benefit out of. And I've got like 8-10 videos planned for my main channel. But I think, what this discussion has kind of brought forward is that it is a slippery slope, and it can lead you into focusing so much on numbers and so much on the things that aren't what it was meant to be pivoted for in the first place. The whole reason we did this was to get more eyeballs on us, to kind of grow our brand more. But you get so, like, again, I had to learn a lot of stuff about YouTube, and, change. I've been slowly trying to change the perception, because everybody's known me for being a controversial little bugger. And, like being, that's marketing hype, and that's bullshit, and this is bullshit, and that's bullshit, and he's bullshit. And then I had to take a sit back with myself one day and go, wow, how much is this affecting my perception as, one, an audio engineer, and two, as somebody that people want to work with in the future? Because how you perceive yourself online, and how you let other people perceive you, is really, really important. So for you, Thomas, right, knowing that, again, you're balancing everything, you've got your new studio, which is obviously in a great place as well, because you were saying off air that, again, it's a hub, it's a community of other people as well. So what does the future look like for you? Where is your pivot going to be in trying to grow even further in your career?
I think it's getting the focus back on the balance. I really like the freedom that content and social media could give me. What we used to do with Red Bull was, it didn't have to make money. It was a tax expense. It was like, hey, we just have these studios for marketing. We need to get cool artists in the door and do crazy shit. Like, I did a lot of fun stuff, from local Dutch artists to Chainsmokers I mentioned before, to even recording RZA and Ghostface Killah for a Miley Cyrus record. Like,
it's crazy.
We did it all.
That's cool.
It's crazy. But I would like to not be that kind of platform, but have that freedom to say, hey, let's do a recording session. You want strings on your record, but you can't afford a studio to record strings in, let alone string players. Okay. If I make a video like that, I can show people how that's done. And I get to do the thing that I like most in the world, which is actual recording something that is not samples, but actual musicians. And we get to make content that lives on forever and does really well. I did a vocal recording video at Red Bull a couple years ago, 3 years ago, I think. And it's still doing, like, I still got comments off of it, and I still got views on it. And that is ultimately the blueprint of what I want to do. Like, hey, this is how I work. I showcase what I do. That also works really well with growing me as an engineer, a mixer, a business. And that is what I would like to do. So I'm working towards doing more. I've done a lot of live streams with Boombox, a platform that sponsored a lot of live stream producers and music professionals. And I did a couple of months of that, and I really liked that way of doing things. So that's also why I wanted to have this studio, so I can set it all up with cameras and everything, and I don't need to set up for a video. I can just press record when I have some spare time, do it. I've got a recording session, you want it recorded, fine. We'll press record and we'll figure out editing later and we'll do that. Like, I want it to be a place like that. Yeah. And for myself, I want to just continue to work as a mixer, recording engineer, but also more as a producer. So I want to get involved earlier on in the process. When someone has a demo and with scratch vocals, I want to get in the room and actually already make those decisions that you would otherwise need to fix in a mix. Like, why not be a step ahead of that? Like, okay, let's record you on a proper mic, proper chain. I know how it needs to sound, and I know what we need to filter out of the recording so we can get a better mix in the end. I think that's an art that's really lost, and that I used to really do with Red Bull. And I kind of missed that, and I could definitely not do that in my living room. So that's why I needed a space.
So were you doing a lot of vocal coaching when you were working with a lot of vocal recordings? So that's something I found in here that I'm slowly getting more and more used to. It's almost like psychology, I feel, a lot of times, where you get somebody and they could be just having an off day, they're maybe feeling a bit uncomfortable, there's been 3 or 4 takes that's not went their way, and it's like I almost feel like I'm a bit like a therapist, trying to talk them off the ledge and just kind of coax the right performance out of them. So like, was that something that you were doing a lot with Red Bull in your vocal sessions?
Yeah, it's always like some people really have their plan together already and they know what to do. They come in and they just need you to record and be a fun person so you don't put any stress on them or take them out of the zone.
Yeah.
Other people need guidance and they need your input, and they go in and they expect like a more vocal producer type to really get the most out of them.
Yeah.
And that is you need to also know when to do what.
Yeah. That's
a really fine line to tread, that, isn't it, between coaching and encouraging. And when you learn that an artist doesn't have a clue how they should sing or what they should do with their voice to get the sound that they want, and if they don't know what sound they want, that's a really hard task to try and get the best performance out of a singer, especially if I had a client once who I then later realized was expecting so much to be fixed in the mix that they just thought they could sing anything and it would be fixed later. And it was like, hang on, we need to have a bit of a conversation here, because if we make this better, the result will be better. But I can't fix that.
Yeah,
that was a matter of confidence to say that, and a bit of a diplomatic hot potato.
Yeah, and you learn how to deal with that.
Yeah,
like and at some point somebody is gonna walk out the room.
Have you had that before?
I've had that once, yeah.
Have you?
But that was like a language barrier thing.
Right, okay.
This Turkish artist came over and they had a day in the studio. It was her first day in a big recording studio, I think. And she used to record herself at home. And she was recording and they were speaking in Turkish, and I know a couple of words of Turkish, but not enough.
Yeah.
So they were just talking away, and I was like, okay, I'll just do my thing. And they went like, hey, can we record the roads? And I was like, oh yeah, sure, give me 5 minutes tops. And they already went like, 5 minutes? Why do you need 5 minutes? Should just be plugging into the front of the interface, right? Just be ready. I go like, yeah, but like we want it at a little bit nicer level and nicer quality, good preamp, like make a chain, get some sound. We record the Rhodes, we go on to our vocals, and on an SSL console, you've got a stereo auxiliary and 4 mono auxiliaries. And we had a Furman headphone system that had exactly that, 1 stereo knob and 4 mono. So I put the instrumental on the stereo because you want that in stereo, because otherwise why would you make that entire mix? And then her vocal on one of the monos and a reverb on the other mono. And she's done with her lead and she goes to her backing vocal and she goes like, okay, can you put the last vocal to my left and the other to my right? And I go like, sure. I need 5 minutes. She goes like, no, I'm pretty sure there's a knob in your DAW there that says left and right. You can do that.
Oh, wow.
And I had to explain to her like,
Oh, wow.
yes, but I'm going to 1 channel on the SSL console, so I can only send you 1 thing. So I can swap it around for you so we can have it. And it got to end this discussion of, no, I think you can do that.
Yeah. But was that a workflow oversight, possibly, in hindsight?
After that, I stuck to giving people my mix. And if you want something different, I'll just listen to an altered version in the control room, or I'll put it on an extra auxiliary, which I'm not the biggest fan of, or I put everything on 1 stereo auxiliary and just do it that way.
Right.
We later got like an upgraded system so we could run multiple stereo outputs directly from the DAW, but back then that was how we rolled, and it was like, yeah. And it doesn't like, it doesn't matter if you can or cannot do something. It's like, yeah, this is how it works there, and it costs a little bit more time in a studio unless you know what what is going to be expected from you.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I think obviously, like, the great thing for you, Thomas, was that from the sounds of it, the amount of experience that you gained from that time working with so many different artists and so many different projects. And from the sounds of it, Thomas, it's almost like, I mean, is there anything that would panic you in a session? Because I think from the sounds of it, you've already dealt with everything that could probably go wrong in quite a complex analog world. I mean, is there anything that would phase you? I don't think there would be.
Computers.
The digital age.
This day. Oh. Yeah. But I've also messed up sessions where I had a Mac that I wasn't able to upgrade and it just kept crashing, and I played it safe and used 2 little plugins and didn't impress the artist because the last thing I wanted was the computer to crash.
Right, okay.
So it's like the computers has always been in the back of my mind, like, yo, might crash, man. Yeah, you don't know. Don't ask too much of it because it's gonna crash. It's like, yeah, computers. That's why I grew up with analog and I like analog and I understand analog.
Yeah.
Because when you've got a 40-channel SSL console, you just know how to deal with it. And you know that mid-session, if channel 13 doesn't have an EQ anymore, you know, okay, I can flip it. If I can take it out, switch it with channel 1. We just won't use channel 1 and we've got channel 13 again. With a computer, if one thing is not working, nothing is working. Yeah. It's like, you're out. It's done. We need computers, but I also hate computers.
So have you then had to kind of almost move yourself into more of a hybrid workflow just from the necessity of having to be in this digital age? Or have you kind of still kept true to your analog mindset in your studio where it is maybe like 80% analog and it's just like the digital's just there just to do kind of minor things?
No, because I could never, I've tried multiple times. I could never mix the way I mix in analog. I tried again, I think a couple of months ago, at Mark One, the creator of the mini SSL. He has a full blown 56 channel SSL, and he has everything. At the Red Bull studio, I tried multiple times to mix on analog, and I just can't do what I need to do. I can mix fully in the box. I just don't like it. And I noticed again today, I had a recording that I just wasn't too happy with. I send it through a hardware very mute compressor, and it goes like, oh, nice. Okay, that FabFilter Pro Q3 with the 3 notches in the high mid is not. I don't need it anymore. It just fixes it, and that's I think why I've got any analog gear, because that is my DNA.
Yeah, totally.
I just want a playground.
Have you considered combining the two and going Wes Audio with digitally recallable analog?
Yeah. So I've got the Carnaby by Cranbourne Audio,
Looked at that, yeah.
and I've got the Cream RC by Tegeler.
Yeah.
And that is usually my mix bus, and that just recalls. And that's the only thing that that actually recalls. The rest I all print in, and I don't do analog summing. I don't do any of that because I can't recall that.
Yeah.
And I can't get the mix back. And that's something I really need. So the Neves and the MIDI-Qs and the SSL, everything I use to make the sound, and then the sound gets printed, and that's it. But I don't I wish I could use the SSL summing, but I can't.
You're not tempted by the Oracle?
Yeah. No. I'm curious though. I would love to try one. We'd love to see if that would be like the perfect match of the hybrid.
You could save up setting a Thomas only Van Opstal channel.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Jesus Christ. And on that bombshell, right, I think it's probably time for us to ask Thomas the very last question that we do like to ask.
I've got one more. I've got one more before we get to that.
Okay.
Thomas, you've got a virtual internship on your website. Yeah. Tell us what that is.
With running a studio and with becoming an audio engineer, a mixer, you do an internship. Like I started at Red Bull as a sort of an internship. I didn't really have someone to intern to. We just were thrown into the room and hey, you did SAE, fix it. And what I really missed was someone to join during a day of mixing or recording or whatever, and just somebody saying hey, I use this because of this, instead of somebody just saying I use this. You all need to buy 1073s because everybody's using 1073s. Just someone to say, this is how I do my work. Learn from it. Now, I can get one intern in the room every single time, which I also do. But I thought, hey, why not treat the camera as the intern? So at home, hundreds or thousands of people can be the intern. So they can follow me through the studio in the work that we do. When it's mixing, recording, mastering, whatever we do, you're there. So you get the prime seat in the studio as an intern. Sometimes I teach classes at an actual school, Abbey Road Institute, and I love it. But the thing that I hate is that it's limited. So I put in my effort, and it only reaches the people in the classroom. And then if there's more people that want that knowledge, you need to do it again. And it's I want the info to be out there. That's why I started making music. I want it to be out there, so when you have an issue or a question or you want to learn something, I can just say, hey, it's there. You can learn from me there. And then we can move on to other steps, and as long as the virtual internship grows, the interns grow with me. So you can get into deeper and deeper things and more focused things. Because every intern gets access to a WhatsApp group with all the members and myself and my team. And there we can just say like, hey, what are you running into? What's happening? A lot of them are now also setting up studios, and they go like, hey, I'm running into this. I've got these issues. How would you tackle this? And it's everybody joins in and helps each other out and builds together. And I think that is something I wanted to create, like a community that helps each other get to the next level and become better engineers, mixers, producers.
Yeah, great. Sounds good. It's a good idea.
And we'll also leave links in the description as well, if you're interested in joining as well. So, Thomas, it has now been 1 hour and 8 minutes of your time.
Wow.
I don't want to take too much of your time. Now, there's always a million questions that we have, but then we could run on for days.
Yeah.
You know what audio engineers can talk like. So,
Yeah.
I'll have one last question for you, and we always try and give this to every interviewee that we have. Hypothetically speaking, I am somebody who's looking to get a career in audio. I want to be, a producer, a recording engineer, a mixing or a mastering engineer. In this modern day world, knowing all the experiences that you've had, all the knowledge that you have now, what would be your biggest advice for somebody wanting to start out in audio today to try and get a full-time career?
Find yourself a group of peers. Find a group. The most successful people I see around me have a group of one's an artist, the other is a producer, the other is a mixer, the other is the manager, the other, like, they all hang around. And I see that with myself as well. Like, I've got a lot of videographer friends, so now I've got some like live recordings coming in that I go out, do a live recording, mix it. That's how I get a job in. And that way everybody just goes like, hey, I've got this and I might need you for that. Oh, I might need you for that. And the same with what we touched on earlier. Like, my online presence doesn't necessarily translate into the jobs I need to survive.
Mm-hmm.
It is being friends with a lot of people.
Correct.
And my online presence helped get my foot in the door and helped get me foot in the door is maybe a weird word to use, but it helped get in touch with people that that later on became friends or became clients, or that way it really helped. But it's always putting in the effort to become friends and become the chill person. And
Yeah.
you need to be someone that someone goes like, who do I want to spend time with to do this album? And have the upcoming 2 months phone calls, emails, sessions in the studio, who can deliver the work, but is also someone I want to hang around with. Because you can do the work and you can be technically amazing, but that social aspect, that's how I got hired at Red Bull. The studio manager said like, yes, I can throw him in any session and he'll rock it. But he said to me, you have to promise to work on your social skills.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
And he gave me that
I know.
task. Literally, like blunt like that. Well, we're Dutch, so we say it how it is. Like he said,
Yeah, you do.
your social skills are not yet where I want them to be for someone that's running recording sessions every single day. So we need to work on that. And that is honestly, from that day, I was like, every session I'm going to do, I'm going to be the person that people want to be around with, that I would want to be around. And I think that's the most important thing. Just find people to become friends with that are interested in the same things as you are, because they will call you with, hey, I need a mix. Can you do it? And maybe at first you're going to do it for $50, $100 or even for free. But at some point you're gonna grow together with each other, and then they're gonna blow up they're gonna be signed by a big label, and now you're in the room. You're there. And you were always mixing the records. They trust you. They want to be in the room with you. So you're gonna be there with them.
How many times have we heard that, Eddie? Relationships first, business second. Get the relationships, and the relationships lead to the business. Never do it the opposite way around.
Relationships and collaboration. Yeah.
100%.
Thomas, that's been great. It's been fascinating chatting to you. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you to DistroKid for sponsoring the podcast. So key takeaways again, collaborating with people, building a team, finding a vessel, and fighting the nulls. Working on room acoustics, but ultimately giving up and just accepting it for what it is and working. All right, I very much look forward to seeing your review on the Dutch and Dutch 8Cs. I'm going to place a bet of my Amphion 218s that you're going to keep them. Who that bet's with is nobody, so no one's getting a free set of speakers. On that Dutch bombshell, it's been emotional. Thanks for listening, guys. See you soon.
Nice. Thanks, guys.